Maya stood in the huge, shiny kitchen, stirring a pot of soup. The smell filled the air, warm, sweet, and comforting. It was her grandmother's special recipe, the one Grandma used to make every Sunday, the one that made everything feel safe. But nothing felt safe anymore. Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She had been crying all morning. Tomorrow was the court hearing. Tomorrow, she might lose everything. The kitchen was quiet except for the bubbling soup. Mr. Henderson, her boss, was somewhere upstairs in his giant house. He was probably working. He was always working. Maya had cleaned his home for 2 years now, but they barely talked. He was polite but distant. Rich people were like that sometimes. Maya's phone buzzed on the counter. She jumped. Her heart pounded in her chest. It was a text from her cousin Derek. "See you in court tomorrow. Hope you found yourself a boyfriend. LOL. Maya felt sick. Her hands shook as she put the phone down. Derek was mean. He had always been mean. Even when they were kids, he used to steal her toys and lie to get her in trouble. Now he was trying to steal something much bigger, Grandma's house. The house where Maya grew up. The house with the creaky porch and the garden full of roses. The house that smelled like cinnamon and love. The house that was supposed to be hers. But there was a problem. A big, terrible problem. Maya's phone rang. She saw the name on the screen. Derek. She didn't want to answer. But maybe he was calling to say he changed his mind. Maybe he would be kind for once. "Hello," Maya said quietly. "Maya, just wanted to check in." Derek's voice was fake sweet, like candy that's been sitting too long. "You ready for tomorrow?" "Derek, please. Can't we just talk about this? Grandma wanted me to have the house. You know she did." Derek laughed. It was a cold, ugly sound. "Oh, I know what Grandma wanted. But what Grandma wanted and what the law says are two different things, cousin." Maya's throat felt tight. The will says you have to have a committed boyfriend to inherit. A real relationship. At least 6 months long. Derek sounded happy about it. Too happy. "And last time I checked, you were very, very single." "That's not fair. Grandma just wanted to make sure I wasn't alone. She wanted me to be happy and taken care of. Well, she should have written a better will." Derek's voice turned sharp. "Look, Maya, I didn't make the rules. I'm just following them. And since you don't have a boyfriend, the house goes to me. Simple as that. But you don't even care about that house. You're going to sell it." "Of course I'm going to sell it. Do you know how much that property is worth? I've got plans, Maya. Big plans. That money is going to change my life." Tears ran down Maya's face. "That house is my life, Derek. It's all I have left of her." "Then you should have found yourself a man." Derek laughed again. "Igatego. See you in court. Oh, and Maya, don't even think about bringing some fake boyfriend. The lawyer is going to ask for proof. Photos, messages, witnesses. You can't fake 6 months overnight." The phone went dead. Maya put it down on the counter. Her whole body felt heavy, like she was made of stone. She had tried everything. She had asked her friend Tom if he would pretend to be her boyfriend, but he said no. He didn't want to lie in court. She had even thought about hiring an actor, but that felt wrong and expensive. And Derek was right. How could she prove 6 months of love in one day? It was impossible. Maya looked at the soup. It was still bubbling, still smelling like Grandma's kitchen, like home. "I need a boyfriend by tomorrow," Maya whispered to the empty kitchen. Her voice cracked. "I need a boyfriend by tomorrow or I lose everything. The house, the garden, every memory, everything." She put her face in her hands and cried. Big, shaking sobs that made her shoulders move up and down. She didn't hear the footsteps behind her. Maya jumped and spun around. There, standing in the doorway, was Alexander Henderson, her boss, the millionaire, the man she barely knew. He was tall, with dark hair that was always neat and perfect. He wore expensive clothes. Even now, in his own house, he looked like he was going to a business meeting, but his face was different than usual. He wasn't wearing his normal blank expression. He looked concerned. "Mr. Henderson, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were. Maya quickly wiped her face with her apron. I am sorry. I'll get back to work. I just needed a minute. I heard you on the phone, Alexander said quietly. He stepped into the kitchen. And I heard what you said just now. Maya's face got hot. She felt embarrassed. Her boss just heard her crying about needing a boyfriend. How pathetic. I am sorry. I shouldn't be emotional at work. It won't happen again. Your grandmother passed away 3 months ago, Alexander said. It wasn't a question. He remembered. Maya nodded. She couldn't speak. If she spoke, she would cry again. And your cousin is trying to take the house. Another nod. Alexander was quiet for a moment. He looked at the soup on the stove. Then he looked at Maya. Really looked at her, like he was seeing her for the first time. The will requires you to have a boyfriend to inherit? A committed relationship, Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. At least 6 months. With proof. The hearing is tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And I can't. She couldn't finish. The words got stuck in her throat. Alexander crossed his arms. He was thinking. Maya could see his brain working behind his eyes. What if I did it? He said. Maya blinked. Did what? What if I was your boyfriend? The world stopped. The soup stopped bubbling. The clock stopped ticking. Everything stopped. Maya stared at him. I don't understand. Your hearing is tomorrow. You need proof of a 6-month relationship. Alexander said it like he was talking about a business deal. Calm, logical, simple. I'll go with you. I'll tell the lawyer we've been together since July. I'll provide whatever proof they need. But why would you do that? Maya's heart was beating so fast. You don't even know me. Alexander's face changed. Something soft appeared in his eyes. Something sad. I knew your grandmother, he said quietly. A long time ago, she used to bake bread for my mother. When my mother was sick, your grandmother never asked for anything in return. She just showed up every week with fresh bread and a kind word. Maya's eyes went wide. You're the Henderson boy, the one Grandma used to talk about. She talked about me. She said you were lost once, a scared little kid in a big city, and that someone helped you find your way home. Alexander smiled. It was small, but it was real. That someone was you, Maya. You were about 10 years old. I was 12. I got separated from my mother at the market. I was panicking. You took my hand and walked me to the information desk. You told me everything would be okay. Maya remembered. She remembered a skinny boy with scared eyes. She remembered holding his hand. You remember that? She whispered. I never forgot, Alexander said. And I never forgot your grandmother's kindness. Or yours. He uncrossed his arms. So yes, Maya, I'll do it. I'll be your boyfriend. Tomorrow, in court, and we'll save your grandmother's house. Maya couldn't breathe. This couldn't be real. But Mr. Henderson. Alexander, he corrected. If I'm going to be your boyfriend, you should probably call me Alexander. Ataini, impossible logo escaped Maya eslips. She was crying and laughing at the same time. Are you sure? She asked. This is crazy. This is completely crazy. Alexander walked over to the stove. He looked at the soup. Your grandmother's recipe? Yes. It smells like home, he said softly. Then he turned to her. His eyes were serious. I'm sure, Maya. We have until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to become the most convincing couple that lawyer has ever seen. We'd better get started. And just like that, Maya's impossible problem had an impossible solution. Her boss was going to pretend to be her boyfriend. What could possibly go wrong? Maya sat on Alexander's fancy couch, her hands shaking. In front of her was a notebook. At the top of the page, Alexander had written in neat handwriting, Our story. We need to know everything about each other, Alexander said. He sat beside her, close enough that Maya could smell his cologne. It smelled expensive, like cedar trees and something clean. The lawyer will ask questions. We have to have the same answers. Maya nodded. Her brain felt fuzzy. Was this really happening? When did we start dating? Alexander asked, like he was in a business meeting. 6 months ago will be July, Maya said. July 15th? July 15th, Alexander repeated, writing it down. Where did we meet? Maya thought about it. We can't say here. At your house. That makes it seem like you're my boss taking advantage of me. Alexander's pen stopped. He looked at her with respect. You're right. That wouldn't look good. He thought for a moment. The farmer's market. Downtown. You were buying vegetables for soup. I was picking up flowers in my office. Were you really there? Maya asked. I'm there every Saturday morning, Alexander said. Are you? Maya felt her cheeks get warm. Every Saturday. I buy carrots and onions for your meals. They stared at each other. All this time, they had been in the same place. Every single Saturday. And they never knew. So we met at the farmer's market. Maya said softly. What happened next? Alexander leaned back. For the first time since Maya met him, he looked unsure. I don't really know how dating works, he admitted. I haven't done it in a long time. Maya felt a little braver. Me neither, but I've watched movies. Maybe you asked for my number? I asked for your number, Alexander said, warming to the idea. I told you I liked your smile. Maya touched her face without thinking. You like my smile? Alexander looked at her. Really looked at her. Yes, he said quietly. Eat dough. The room felt very warm all of a sudden. Okay, Maya said quickly, looking back at the notebook. So you got my number. Then what? I called you that night, Alexander continued. We talked for 2 hours. About everything. About your grandmother. About my mother. About how hard it is to be alone in a big city. Maya wrote it all down. But something felt strange. Alexander was describing things that were true. Things they actually could have talked about if they'd ever really talked. Our first date was the next weekend, Alexander said. I took you to that little Italian restaurant on 5th Street, the one with the red checkered tablecloths. Rosselli's, Maya whispered. That's my favorite restaurant. I know, Alexander said. You mentioned it once. 6 months ago. You said your grandmother used to take you there for your birthday. Maya's eyes got wet. He remembered that? She had mentioned it once, just once, while cleaning his study. We shared the mushroom ravioli, Maya added to the story. And you told me about your company, about building it from nothing. And you told me about wanting to open your own restaurant someday, Alexander said, using your grandmother's recipes. Maya's heart skipped. She had never told anyone that dream, not out loud, but it was true. It was her secret wish. Alexander, she said carefully, how did you know that? He smiled, a real smile this time, not his business smile. Lucky guess. They kept writing. They built a whole fake relationship moment by moment. Movie nights where they watched old comedies. Walks in the park where Alexander pretended to like her terrible jokes. A rainy afternoon where they cooked together, and Maya taught him how to make grandma's soup. We need photos, Alexander said, checking his watch. It was already 8 o'clock at night. The lawyer will want to see photos. Maya's stomach dropped. How do we get 6 months of photos in one night? Alexander stood up. We get creative. For the next 3 hours, they became actors. Alexander changed his clothes 5 times. Maya put on different outfits from her car. She kept extra clothes for when she cleaned. They took photos everywhere in the house. In the kitchen, Maya stood at the stove while Alexander hugged her from behind. Click. On the couch. They pretended to watch a movie, Maya's head on Alexander's shoulder. Click. In the garden, under the stars, Alexander held Maya's hand. Click. We need one more, Alexander said, looking at his phone. Something that looks really real, really in love. Maya's heart hammered in her chest. What do you mean? The lawyer needs to believe we're actually together, Alexander said. He stepped closer to her. May you what? Put my arm around you, like we're a real couple. Maya couldn't speak. She just nodded. Alexander's arm went around her waist. It felt warm. Strong. Safe. He pulled her close, and Maya let herself lean into him. He was so tall that her head fit perfectly under his chin. Smile, Alexander whispered. Maya smiled. A real smile, not a fake one. Click. When Alexander showed her the photo, Maya gasped. They looked like a real couple. They looked like two people who truly cared about each other. Alexander's eyes in the photo were soft, gentle, and Maya looked happy. That's perfect, Alexander said quietly. But he didn't let go of her waist. Maya didn't pull away. They stood there in the garden, holding each other, pretending they were pretending. Alexander? Maya said into his chest. Why are you really doing this? She felt him take a deep breath. I told you, your grandmother was kind to my mother. That's not the whole truth, is it? Alexander was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I've spent 10 years building a company, making money, being successful, and I've been alone the entire time. I convinced myself that was fine, that I didn't need anyone. He paused. But watching you cry in my kitchen today, hearing how much you love your grandmother, how hard you're fighting to keep her memory alive, I realize I've never fought for anything that mattered. Not really. Maya pulled back to look up at him. This matters to you? You matter to me, Alexander said. Then he looked shocked, like he hadn't meant to say that out loud. Maya's breath caught. Alexander, we should practice what to say tomorrow, Alexander said quickly, stepping away. The moment broke. The lawyer will ask how I proposed, or if we're planning to get married. We need good answers. Maya felt cold without his arm around her. Right. Of course. We should practice. They went back inside. They rehearsed their story over and over. By midnight, Maya could recite it perfectly. Every date, every moment, every fake memory. But some of the memories didn't feel fake anymore. You should get some sleep, Alexander finally said. Big day tomorrow. I can't go home, Maya said. Derek knows where I live. What if he tries something? What if he comes to stop me from getting to court? Alexander didn't hesitate. Stay here. I have 6 guest rooms. Pick whichever one you want. Are you sure? Maya, I'm pretending to be your boyfriend. I think we're past the point of worrying about what's appropriate. Maya laughed. A real laugh. It felt good. She chose the guest room closest to the kitchen. It had a big, soft bed and windows that looked out at the garden. But she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Alexander's arm around her waist. About the way he said, you matter to me. At 2 a.m, Maya got up. She was thirsty. She walked quietly down the hall to the kitchen. The light was already on. Alexander was there, sitting at the kitchen table, looking at his phone. He was scrolling through the photos they'd taken. When he got to the last one, the one in the garden, he stopped. He stared at it for a long time. Maya's heart beat faster. She should go back to her room. She should leave him alone. But instead, she whispered, Can't sleep either? Alexander looked up. He didn't seem surprised to see her. Too much on my mind. Maya sat down across from him. Are you nervous about tomorrow? No, Alexander said. I'm nervous about what happens after tomorrow. What do you mean? He put his phone down. After we win, and we will win, what happens to us? Do we go back to the way things were? You're my housekeeper. I'm your boss. We pretend this never happened. Maya's throat felt tight. I don't know. I don't want to go back, Alexander said. The words came out hard, like they hurt. These past few hours with you have been the most real I've felt in years. And I know this is all fake. I know we're just pretending. But Maya, he looked at her with those intense eyes. What if we didn't have to pretend? Maya's world tilted. What are you saying? I'm saying that I don't want a fake girlfriend for one day. I want... He stopped, shook his head. Never mind. I'm being ridiculous. You don't feel that way. This is just business to you. It's not, Maya said, surprising herself. It's not just business, Alexander. When you put your arm around me tonight, when you told me I mattered, I felt something. Something real. Alexander stood up. He walked around the table. He knelt down beside Maya's chair. So they were eye to eye, Tell me I'm not crazy, he said. Tell me you feel this too. Maya's hand reached out. She touched his face. His skin was warm. You're not crazy, she whispered. Alexander closed his eyes. He leaned into her touch like a man who'd been thirsty for years and finally found water. Tomorrow, he said, we go to court. We tell our story. We save your grandmother's house. And then he opened his eyes. Then we figure out what this really is. Okay, Maya agreed. They stayed like that for a moment, Maya's hand on Alexander's face. Alexander kneeling beside her chair. Two people who had been strangers yesterday and might be something much more tomorrow. Finally, Alexander stood. Get some sleep? We have a performance to give in the morning. The best performance of our lives, Maya said. But as she walked back to her room, Maya wondered, if it feels as real, is it still a performance? She fell asleep thinking about Alexander's eyes, about his smile, about the way he said her name. And she dreamed of a future where they didn't have to pretend anymore. Maya's hands were sweating. She sat in the courtroom, wearing her nicest dress, a blue one that Grandma had given her 2 birthdays ago. Alexander sat beside her in a perfect suit, his hand holding hers. It felt real. His hand felt real. Across the room, Derek sat with his lawyer. Derek wore a smug smile, like he'd already won, like Maya's heart didn't matter, like Grandma's house was already his. The judge walked in. Everyone stood up. Please be seated, the judge said. She was an older woman with kind eyes and gray hair. We're here today regarding the estate of Mrs. Rose Johnson. Specifically, the inheritance of the family home at 42 Maple Street. Maya's heart pounded so hard she thought everyone could hear it. The judge looked at her papers. The will states that the home goes to granddaughter, Maya Johnson, provided she is in a committed relationship of at least 6 months' duration. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor, Derek's lawyer said. Standing up, he was a tall man with a sharp voice. And we have evidence that Miss Johnson is not in such a relationship. Therefore, per the will's alternative clause, the property should transfer to Mr. Derek Johnson. That's not true. Maya stood up without thinking. Alexander gently pulled her back down. Let me, he whispered. He stood up, calm and confident. Your Honor, I'm Alexander Henderson. I've been in a committed relationship with Maya Johnson since July 15th of last year. That's over 6 months. Derek laughed out loud. That's ridiculous. She works for him. She's his housekeeper. The judge raised her hand. Mr. Johnson, please control yourself. She looked at Alexander. Mr. Henderson, you're saying you and Miss Johnson have been romantically involved for 6 months? Yes, Your Honor. Derek's lawyer stepped forward. Your Honor, we believe this is a fraud, a desperate attempt to satisfy the will's requirements. We ask that you question them separately and demand proof of this so-called relationship. The judge thought about it. That seems reasonable. Miss Johnson, please step into the side room with the court reporter. Mr. Henderson, you'll stay here. I'll question you separately. Maya's stomach dropped. This was it. The real test. She walked into the small room. Her legs felt like jelly. The court reporter sat at a tiny desk, fingers ready on the keyboard. The judge followed her in and closed the door. Miss Johnson, the judge said gently, I need you to be honest with me. Is this relationship real? Maya took a deep breath. She thought about last night, about Alexander's hand on her waist, about the way he looked at the photo of them in the garden, about him saying, you matter to me. Yes, Maya said, it's real. Tell me about Mr. Henderson, not the rich man, not the businessman. Tell me about the person you know. Maya closed her eyes. When she opened them, the words came easily. Alexander remembers everything, she said. I mentioned once months ago that I liked daisies. Last month, he left a daisy on the kitchen counter with no note, just a flower, because he remembered. That part was true. It had actually happened. He works too much, Maya continued. He forgets to eat lunch. So I started making extra food and leaving it in the fridge with little notes. He started leaving notes back. Tiny conversations on sticky notes about nothing important, about the weather, about a funny thing he saw on the news. Also true, he's lonely, Maya said, her voice cracking. He's so lonely, and he tries to hide it, but I see it. I see it in the way he sits by himself at night, in the way he works on weekends, because he has nobody to spend time with. And I wanted to fix that. I wanted to make him smile. The judge was quiet. And does he? Smile. Maya nodded. He does now. He smiles when I walk into a room. Real smiles, not his polite business smiles. Real ones. When did you know you loved him? The question hit Maya like a punch. Did she love Alexander? She thought about his arm around her in the garden, about his eyes when he said he didn't want to pretend, about kneeling beside her chair at 2 a.m, asking if he was crazy. I knew last night, Maya whispered, when he looked at me like I was the only person in the world who mattered. The judge made a note. Thank you, Miss Johnson. You can return to the courtroom. Maya walked back on shaky legs. Alexander was waiting. When their eyes met, he gave her a small, encouraging smile. Now it was his turn. Alexander disappeared into the side room. Maya sat alone, Derek's eyes boring into her back. You're going to lose, Derek hissed across the room. Rich boy is going to crack under pressure. He doesn't care about you. This is all fake. Maya didn't answer. She just held her hands together and prayed. 10 minutes later, Alexander came back. His face was unreadable. The judge returned to her seat. She looked at both of them for a long moment. I've questioned both parties, the judge said. I've also reviewed the photos and messages you provided, and I've come to a decision. Maya couldn't breathe. The relationship between Miss Johnson and Mr. Henderson is genuine. The way they speak about each other, the specific details they remember, the consistency of their stories. These are not things that can be fabricated overnight. The judge looked at Derek. This is not a fraud. This is a real relationship. Derek jumped up. That's impossible. She's lying. He's lying. Mr. Johnson, sit down, the judge said sharply. I will not tolerate outbursts in my courtroom. Derek sat, his face red with anger. The judge continued. Therefore, for the terms of Mrs. Rose Johnson's will, the property at 42 Maple Street is hereby granted to Miss Maya Johnson. Case closed. The gavel came down. Bang! Maya burst into tears. Happy tears. Relieved tears. Tears that had been building up for months. Alexander's arms went around her immediately. He held her while she cried into his expensive suit. You did it, he whispered. You saved your grandmother's house. We did it, Maya said. We saved it together. Derek stormed out of the courtroom, his lawyer trailing behind him. Maya didn't even watch him go. She didn't care. The house was hers. Grandma's memory was safe. Outside the courthouse, Alexander and Maya stood in the sunshine. Maya felt lighter than air. Thank you, she said, looking up at Alexander. Thank you for everything. For helping me. For being there. For... She didn't know how to finish. You don't have to thank me, Alexander said. They walked to his car in silence. Maya kept waiting for everything to go back to normal, for Alexander to become her distant boss again, for the magic to end. But when they got to his house, Alexander said, Come inside. I have something for you. In his study, Alexander handed her an envelope. Maya opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a check, a very large check, and a letter. She read the letter out loud. Dear Maya, thank you for 2 years of dedicated service. Enclosed is your severance pay and a letter of recommendation. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Maya's world stopped. You're firing me? Her heart shattered into a million pieces. This was it. The magic was over. He got her the house, and now he was done with her. It had all been pretend after all. Alexander, I don't understand. Keep reading, Alexander said softly. Maya looked back at the letter. At the bottom, in handwritten ink, it said, You can't be my employee if you're going to be my girlfriend. For real this time. No lawyers. No courthouse. No pretending. Just you and me. If you want that too, tear up the check and stay for dinner. If you don't, take the money and I'll understand. The choice is yours. Alexander. Maya's hand shook so hard she almost dropped the paper. You want. She couldn't get the words out. You want this to be real? Alexander stepped closer. I told you last night. I don't want to pretend anymore. These past 24 hours with you have been the best 24 hours I've had in 10 years. You make me laugh. You make me feel like a person, not just a businessman. You make me want to come home. But I'm just a housekeeper, Maya whispered. No, Alexander said firmly. You're the woman I'm falling in love with. You're the woman who sees me when everyone else just sees my money. You're the woman who left a daisy on my desk and didn't even know I noticed. He took her hands. You're the woman I want to cook soup with every Sunday for the rest of my life. Maya looked at the check. It was enough money to change her life, to open that restaurant she'd always dreamed of, to be independent. Then she looked at Alexander, at his hopeful eyes, at the man who had fought for her when nobody else would. Maya tore the check in half, then in half again, and again. The pieces fell like snow. I don't want your money, Maya said. I want you, the real you, the one who remembers that I like daisies, the one who leaves me notes on sticky paper, the one who held me in the garden like I was precious. Alexander's smile could have lit up the whole city. Yeah, Maya said. He kissed her then, soft and gentle and real. So real. When they pulled apart, Maya laughed. So what now? Now, Alexander said, we go to the kitchen. You teach me how to make your grandmother's soup properly. And we start our real first date. No lawyers, no courthouse. Just us. Just us. Maya agreed. They walked to the kitchen hand in hand. Maya pulled out the ingredients. Alexander rolled up his sleeves. My grandma would have liked you, Maya said as she chopped onions. I liked her, Alexander said. She saved my mother's life with her kindness, and she raised a woman who saved mine. They cooked together as the sun set outside the window. They laughed and talked and burned the garlic twice. It was messy and imperfect and absolutely perfect. Maya had come into this house desperate and alone, needing a boyfriend by tomorrow. She had expected a business arrangement, a performance, a means to an end. Instead, she found something real, something lasting, something worth more than any inheritance. She found love, and as Alexander fed her a spoonful of soup to taste, as she told him it needed more salt, as he kissed her forehead and promised to do better next time, Maya knew one thing for certain. Grandma would have been so proud. Did this story touch your heart? Like this video. Want more stories about unexpected love and second chances? Share this with someone who believes in happy endings. Subscribe for more beautiful, emotional stories that remind you love can be found in the most unexpected places. Comment below. What would you do if you needed a boyfriend by tomorrow? Have you ever had someone show up for you when you least expected it? Thank you for reading Maya and Alexander's story. Remember, the best relationships start when we stop pretending and start being real.